Hi children, welcome to Grade Learning. So this is the playlist for 2020 All paper discussion. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, I have separate playlist from grade 6 onward up to grade 11. And for the paper discussions for the 2020 All paper, I have a separate playlist. So in that, I have done 3 videos. So first 2 will be describing the MCQs, and the third video will be discussing about the question 1. So in this one, which is the part 4, I am planning to discuss question 2, 3, 4. So I would prefer you try these questions before watching the video. So please try them and have your answers, and if possible, mark it using a marking scheme. You can easily download these papers from the internet, and then you listen and you watch this video, because then only you can get more value added for you, right? Okay, let's start. So these are not mandatory questions. You can choose whatever the questions you want. Actually, there are 7 questions. First one is mandatory, and from the 6 questions you can pick 4, right? Okay. Second question. For each of the malpractices, right, there are labeled A, B, C, D, like that. Identify the relevant term from the list of terms. So this is a list of terms, and you have to write against the term against the relevant label, right? This format you have to follow, like label A, arrow, and then you have to write what is the term. Like that. For example, this is the answer, but you can write A, arrow, identity theft, B, arrow, data theft, like that. Okay, so that's how you have to present your answer, right? Okay, we'll go for the question. A is steal important data and information stored on computers without the knowledge of the owner. So you're stealing information, isn't it? So it is actually data theft. So you have to write A, put an arrow, and write data theft. Next one. B, copying and pasting a paragraph to a document from internet without citing, right? So if you go and see identity theft, intellectual property rights violation, plagiarism, right? So yes, that's the answer. So please remember, when you're doing assignments and all these reports and all, just don't copy these things from the internet directly and write, because definitely these things can be checked, right? So I hope you know that plagiarism checkers are there, so they can check whether you are doing copying from the internet. Okay. C, right? An employee using someone else's identity to gain financial advantage. So this is stealing identity, right? Acting like somebody else. So that is actually identity theft. D, using someone else's innovation for other developments without his or her knowledge. So not only innovation, you can think of a song, you can think of a movie, some story, right? Any content which is developed, or which is written, or which is produced by somebody else, right? You cannot just take it, right? You have to take the permission from that particular party. So we call it as intellectual property rights violation. Okay, so hope you got the answer. So you will get 2 marks for this question, 0.5 each. Next one. Write down 4 health-related issues that may occur due to the posture of the person shown in the following diagram. Now, can you see this person is sitting in a wrong way, where his back is not straight, right? His legs are not straight, and his eye level is not matched with the screen. Okay, and he's bending his neck, right? So many issues. So what are the health related problems he will get, right? For example, headache, you can write computer vision syndrome, carpal tunnel syndrome, right, where you will get pain in the wrist, and repetitive stress injury, right? Back pains, musculoskeletal problems, right? So these kind of problems can occur. So for this one, you will get 4 marks, 1 mark each, right? Okay, third one. Consider the following statements with blank spaces labeled A, B, C, D, E. Identify the most suitable term to fill the blank from the list of terms. See, here you have the list of terms. Write down the relevant term against each label in the label term. This format you have to follow. You have to tell A, put arrow, write the term like that. Okay. We'll see. Is used to secure data stored in a standalone computer by blocking unauthorized entry. So it's not about a network security. It's about one computer, right? So backup, no. Virus guard, no. Firewall, no. Phishing, no. Password, yeah. Password is used to secure data in a one computer. So one computer access is like controlled using a password. Second one is essential to safeguard important data in an event of failure of a computer. Maybe your hard disk is not working, right? Maybe there's a fire. So some issue, computer is not working fine, but you safeguard that information in a different geolocation, right? Different location, okay? So we call it as a backup. So B is backup. Third one is an art of cheating users to collect usernames and passwords of electronic bank accounts. Not only this, even they can steal credit card information and all this sensitive information, especially using email. Right? So phishing is that, right? Phishing. So this should be phishing. D. Can be used to safeguard a computer system from harmful software. Harmful software means malware, like a virus, spam, Trojan horse, so many things, right? So what is the software we use for that? It is the virus guard. Last one. Enters a computer as an executable file and can erase files. So this is one of the malware software. I already named it. It is a virus, right? Okay. Fourth one. So see, all these are like MCQs. You have to match. So I don't think any of the papers are getting these kind of questions in O levels where you have to match, right? Okay. So ICT is very easy. Please try to get good marks, right? The following table lists 4 labels and descriptions related to computer network, right? So here they have given labels and you have to map again, like the presentation should be like this, where you have to tell A, arrow, and you have to write what is the term matching for that. Okay, first one. Operates as a secure barrier between internet and a network. Now, firewall is that, right? Between internet and the network, right? So A is firewall. B, example for a guided transmission media. Now, hope you remember when we talk about transmission media, there are guided media as well as non-guided media. And under guided media, we have especially the copper cables and fiber optic cables. So under copper cables, we have something called twisted pair, right? So answer should be B should be having the twisted pair. So similarly, we have unguided transmission media as well, like infrared, microwave, radio waves, like that, where there is no any wires. Right? That's the main difference. C, connects 2 different networks. It's a router or a gateway, right? So here the answer should be gateway. Mode of communication used in telephone conversation. So remember, there are 3 modes of communication, right? Simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. So simplex means only one, like sender, can do the communication, not 2 ways. Only one-way communication is possible, right? For example, now even this video, you can think about like a simplex, because only I am communicating. You cannot at the same time, like you cannot communicate back other than if you use the comment. So this is kind of a simplex, like that when the TV is broadcasting something, right? The audience cannot communicate back. Only they can do is switch off the TV or change the channel. So other than that, they cannot do any communication back to the TV channel. So those are called as simplex mode. And half duplex means this is like a sender and the receiver can communicate, but not at the same time, right? So if the sender is communicating, the receiver has to wait until that is done. Then only the receiver can communicate back. So they cannot communicate at the same time. Last one is the full duplex mode, where sender and the receiver can communicate at the same time because it's two-way communication is possible, like in a telephone conversation or in an instant messaging, right? So D answer will be full duplex. Okay, so that's the end of the question 3. So, sorry, question 2. So let's go and talk about the question 3. So when it comes to here, I would like to explain these tables a bit. So this is actually some relation database tables, which are used to store information about supervisors, projects, and the relationship between the project supervised by the supervisors, right? So if you first go and check the first table, it's supervisor, right? So in the supervisor table, can you see there is a supervisor ID. So this is actually the primary key of this table, because from this you can uniquely identify each record in the supervisor, right? And then comes the project table. In the project table, we have a project ID, which will be acting as the primary key of this project table. So can you see here, we have 4 projects, and each project you can uniquely identify using the project ID. And then comes the supervisor project table, right? Here we usually tell this is kind of a composite primary key, because with only having this as a primary key or only having this as a primary key, you cannot have any valid relationship over that, right? So if you have both together, will have some meaning, right? And these columns are acting as foreign keys to other 2 tables. For example, supervisor ID is acting as the foreign key in this table, where it can refer to the supervisor table to find more information about supervisors, right? Okay, we'll read the question and see. State whether the following statements are true or false. Supervisor ID is a foreign key of supervisor project table. Yes, it's a foreign key for this. So you can go and refer the supervisor table. Next one, project ID is the primary key of supervisor project table. No, it's not only that. You cannot tell project ID itself is a primary key of this table. Actually, so project ID is the primary key of project table. So B will be false. Okay. Next one, which tables needs to be updated to accommodate the following changes, right? So you have to clearly tell what are the tables which will follow. And if you write more than the given table, even you write that particular table and you write another table, so then you won't get any marks. It will be 0, right? Don't think, okay, I have written that and I have written another, so I will get full marks. No, if you write more tables than the answer, the correct answer, you will get 0 marks for that, right? Okay, so here they are asking, Anura Vijayanayaka is assigned as supervisor for project P002 with an allowance of 10,000. Now, if you see carefully, Aruna, right, is already, sorry, Anura is already in this table. So no need to update this one. And project P002 is also here. So we don't have to update that table also. We only have to update here because you have to tell the supervisor Anura is S04. So you have to tell here S04, right? P002, right? With a 10,000, right? So that's the only record which need to be added. So they are asking the table only. So A, you can tell only supervisor project table needs to be updated. Next one, a new supervisor, Pradeep Disanayaka, supervisor ID S06, joined the Department of Chemistry and was assigned as a supervisor for an ongoing project P003 with an allowance of 15,000. Now, it's the most important thing here is the new supervisor. So if you go to the supervisor table, S06, it's not there. So this record needed to be added here. New supervisor S06, and you have to add Pradeep here, Disanayaka here, right? And what's the department? It's chemistry, right? So you have to add that record. And then they are telling the project is already ongoing project. P03 already it's there. So you don't have to update this table. But here you have to tell, okay, S06, P003 with the allowance of 15,000. You have to update this table as well. So what are the two tables need to be updated is supervisor and supervisor project tables. Okay. Next one. On this date, right, September 15, the university started a new project. Project ID P006 with Mohammed Nazwar and Raj Selvam as supervisors. An amount of 11,000 is allocated for each supervisor. Write down the records to be added to the relevant tables for the above change. Use the format like this. You have to use it. Okay. So here, the most important thing is you have to identify what are the tables need to be updated. They are clearly telling they have started a new project. Okay, so here we definitely have to write P006 with the correct format. Now, luckily, they have given the same format where the month will, now we cannot actually think what's month and what's year, what's date, because we cannot figure it out here. So you can write the same format they have given 15/09/2020. Make sure, right, you write the same format. For example, here if they have given with hyphens, you have to write the same format here as well in the answer. Okay. So in the project table, we have to actually add a new record, right? So here you can add it like this, right? You have to tell what is the table, right? Project table, right? I will put it caps. So this is the project table, and please use the arrow, right? And then you use the brackets and tell P006. So that's the new project, and the date format should be like this. Okay, so this is one of the answers, okay, the project table. And not only that, they are telling Mohammed Nazwar and Raj Selvam. If you go and see, Mohammed and Raj is already there in this supervisor table, so no need to update them, right? But they tell they are allocated newly for this project. So you have to write S02 for the new project, P006 with allowance of 11,000, and the other supervisor S03 for the same project, P006 with the allowance of 11,000. So this table also need to be updated. So actually there are two tables you have to update. So I will put the answers down so it's more clear, right? But this is the answer for the third part, right? So here you have to tell, okay, for the supervisor table, supervisor project table, I have to add this, right? There will be two records. First thing is for the S02 supervisor for the project, this one with 11,000 allowance, right? Same thing, you can put a comma and write. So other supervisors is 03, right? For the new project, right? With the same allowance. So this is the answer for the third part. Yeah, make it a bit smaller. So this is the answer for the third part. Okay. Next one. What are the most appropriate table to be joined to write a query to find the department names of the supervisors who supervise the project P001. So P001, so this is the project, right? We have to find who are the supervisors, and actually we have to find the department of that particular supervisor. So for that, we have to find who are the supervisors for this project. So these are the supervisors, right? These two are the supervisors. Okay, so these supervisors, we have to use the foreign key to find more information about the supervisor's department. H02, right? It's chemistry. And for this one, we have to tell H04 is from, sorry, for the S04, we can go for computer science. So here they're asking what are the most appropriate tables to be joined, right? We have to find about P01 project details. So this table, no information is actually provided with this, so we don't need it. But supervisor project and the supervisor table, these two need to be joined together so we can get the relevant information about the department. Okay. So that's the end of question 3, right? Not very hard, not very hard, but bit logical thinking should be there. Okay. So this is the last question I will be discussing in this video. It's about the 4th question. Write down 2 advantages of using SaaS, software as a service, which is a cloud computing service for an institute. So cloud computing solution means you don't have to own your maybe your computers, you maybe the softwares, you can outsource. It's kind of something like outsourcing. So you don't have to worry about the maintenance and all these things because you're providing that responsibility to a cloud computing service provider, right? Like Azure. So what are the advantages, right? It reduces the software cost, right? It's easy to maintain and you can receive instant update. So those kind of advantages you can write. Availability is like guaranteed for the most of the time, right? So those kind of advantages you can specify. Next one, match the descriptions label P to S with the correct terms from the list of terms given below and write down the relevant term against each label in the format of this same thing. Like you have to write P is this, Q is this. So that's how you have to present your answer, right? So these things won't need so much space, right? With very few number of papers, you can answer the question paper. So very easy one, right? Not like history and science single. You have to write so much. But in these ones, you just have to write PQRS. So P is this, right? We'll see. Identifies a computer uniquely on the internet, right? It's IP address. Remember, every computer in the internet is having an IP address. There are 2 versions, IP version 6 and 4. Don't worry about those things much, but every computer should have an IP address. So that is P should have IP address. Connects a web page to another web page. Web pages are connected. Remember in HTML, we learned this using hyperlinks. So when you click a hyperlink, it goes to another web page. R, converts a domain name into an IP address. So hope you know this concept, right? Each machine I told you is having an IP address. But think now when you want to go to Google in the web browser, in the address bar, you just type google.com. It's very easy to remember that, right? So it's that's why humans are more towards to strings and words rather than using numbers, right? So think if you want to type the IP address of Google server in the address bar, it's very hard. We cannot remember numbers, right? But if you do it and see, if you ping to google.com and get the IP address, and if you type that IP address on the Google Chrome itself, you can go to google.com. But here we are using a domain name because it's more user friendly. So this domain name is mapped or convert to an IP address using a DNS server, right? Okay, yes, used for communication between a web server and a web browser. Now, if you go and see this FTP, that's one of the protocols. IP address we already used. Page link, no. SMTP, another protocol you have to know. DNS, we have used it. URL, no. HTTP is another protocol, right? So actually HTTP is the most common protocol because it's used for the communication between a web server and a web browser. So that's the answer. S is HTTP. But let me remind you some of the protocols that we need to know, right? Because as you know, I have explained this also earlier also in when I'm doing the MCQs. So internet is not possessed or owned by anyone. So there need to be some controlling body, right? Kind of the protocols. So protocols is actually set of rules or set of laws which are operated in the computer networks. And in your syllabus, you have to know these 5 protocols, right? HTTP is hypertext transfer protocols, which is used for the communication between web server and the web browser, or you can tell it's about HTML document exchange, right? And TCP IP, right? Basically for the controlling the exchange of IP addresses, right? And FTP for the file transfer protocols to exchange files, we use this. And SMTP, it's relating to the electronic mails or emails, right? ICMP, it's mainly for the error handling. So please remember these 5 protocols and have no need to have a very deep understanding, but at least you know should know the name and the why we need those protocols. Okay. Yeah, then we'll go for the third part of the paper. It's about HTML code, right? So here HTML source is given, right? And they're asking you about, they have labeled some 1 to 10 and you have to you are required to write down the label name and the corresponding HTML tag, right? So this is the list you have to use, right? So if you want quickly go through H6, H1, Alt, you hope you know this one is for the image tag. When the image is not loading, you will see this particular text. Title, break, like breaking for the new line. TR for the tables, italic, TD is also for the table, P for paragraph, type, it's for some kind of attributes use, and row spans and call span, right? It's used for the TD tag, and TH for the table headers, A for anchor tags, U for underline. Okay, so based with that, we'll go and see. So this is the document. This is a web page. You can see. We'll see how the HTML tags are actually put, right? So first one, what's the first blank? It's about this COVID-19 pandemic. And can you see second also having the COVID-19 pandemic? Actually, this is what the second one is what we see here, right? First one, can we see COVID-19 pandemic 2 times? No, because one is used for the title of this web page. We don't see that. So actually, first one, this in the head section, right? It's the title. And the second one is what we see here, the centered one. It is a H1 heading, H1. Okay. Then we have a centered image. Can you see this image? Right? This is an image. So this image is having a alt text. So third one should be alt. Then we have a paragraph, right? And there is fourth one. We have a paragraph, and can you see there is some line breaking? So fourth one should be break. Okay. Next one, fifth one. Fifth one is about this. On average, it takes this paragraph. If you see carefully, this paragraph, it is italic, right? So fifth one should be I. Then they have a table, and they have a table header, right? And they have some 6 and 7. Right? 6 and 7 is there. So definitely, if you go and see, this is the table, right? You have the headers, and then you have the content. So 6 should be TR, right? And then this 7th one should be TD. TD, can you see this first cell, this one, fever, dry cough, that you need this list, right? So this is the list, right? So this should be 6 should be TR, 7 should be TD. Again, can you see there's a TD, right? Starting, TD starting, TR ending. So this is the place where the row ends. And here it's telling unordered list with square. So 8 should be type. Remember, we have different types for the unordered list as well as ordered list, right? And then that's the end of TR. Again, we have another TR, new row here. This is a new row. So these are done now. New row. Can you see here the columns are not separated? So here definitely should have a col span because the columns are not separated. It's merged together. So 6 we already know it's a TR and TD, right? And again, the 9th one, it should be type because the type should be, sorry, 9th one should be the call span because call span should be 2. Call span should be 2 here. Then this is the next one. You have the ordered list, right? And TDTR is finishing off. And there's a centered, another information here for more information, and there is something, right? So that is what it's mentioned here for more information. Okay, it is having COVID prevention task force. We can see that, but it's a link, hyperlink. So 10th one should be A. 10th one should be A. Okay, so exact spellings are very important in this question. So make sure you write it properly. Okay, so if you're done with it, yeah. So hope 3 questions are done. Very easy questions, not taking so much time as well. Very straightforward. You don't have to write so lengthy answers also. So if you like my channel, please do subscribe and please comment and please share your thoughts and share these videos with your friends as well. So we'll meet again with the next part where I will be discussing the last part of the 2020 paper. Thank you.